Okay, here are the answers for the 713 review preview. This is sketch a graph. So this graph was sketched for you and label different pieces. So A is where the passenger gets on initially. So A would be right here. B is when it reaches the bottom of the water pit. So there's actually two places where that happens. So B would be right here or right there. C is halfway between the highest point and where you get on. So it would be about here. So this would be C. So would this. So with this, and so with this. Problem 37, it says each point on the graph represents the position on the rider of the screamer. Draw a diagram of each rider's position on a unit circle. So A would be a little past 90. So A would be about right here. B is going to be a little past 180. So B is going to be down here. And C is going to be at 360 or when you get off. So A we can say is past the highest point. B is when you're first underground. And C is back at the platform. Problem 38, we'll try to measure the height of a tree. Julie noticed that a 3.5-foot post had a 4.25 shadow, so we can write it as a ratio, 3.5 over 4.25. If the tree's shadow is 100, how tall is the tree? So I would get 4.25x equals 350 divided by 4.25. So x is going to be approximately 82.4 feet. Problem 40, find the x and y intersect of the quadratic. So the y-intercept, I plug in 0 for x, and I get the y to be 0, 1. The x-intercept, I can't factor it, so I have to use the quadratic equation. So I'm going to get negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus 4 times 3 times 1 over 6, because 2 times 3 is 6. So then I get negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 24, positive 6. So the square root of 24 can be simplified to the square root of 4 times 6, so I get the square root of 6, 2. Then I can simplify everything by 2. So I get negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 6 over 3 comma 0. So it's positive or negative. Problem 41, write that quadratic in graphing form. So I'm going to complete the square. So I get a negative 1 equals 3 groups x squared plus 2x plus. So when I complete the square, x squared, x and x plus 1. Got 1 here, so I add 1 to both sides. On the other side, though, I'm adding 3. It's 3 times 1. So I get 2. So I'm going to get y equals 3 groups of x plus 1 squared and subtract 2 minus 2. So my vertex is negative 1, 2. Negative 1, negative 2. And then my y-intercept, I figured out from the last page, was, the last problem, was 0, 1. So I'd have 1 over here. So my parabola would look like that when it was graphed. Problem 42, solved by graphing. So I plugged it into the calculator, and because it's absolute value, x can be anything less than or equal to negative 5 to get a correct answer. 43, I did the same thing. I graphed each side. They never touch each other, so the answer is no real solutions. Problem 44. Maria Elena is collecting college pennants. She has 5 fewer pennants from Washington campuses than from California. So Washington is going to equal C minus 5. And twice as many pennants from California as from Pennsylvania. So C is going to be 2 times Pennsylvania. And then all together she has 40. So if we do W plus C plus P, it's going to equal 40. So I know C is 2P. And if I plug in C, 2P minus 5 is W. So I get 2P minus 5 plus 2P plus P equals 40. So then I'm going to get 5P minus 5 equals 40. 5P is going to equal 45. Divide by 5. P is going to equal 9. So that means C is going to equal 18 because 2 times 9 is 18. And W is going to equal 13.